Shortly after, Federation scientists created advanced editions of their most common weapons, the rebellion started. And in its wake, entire sectors were destroyed. From said sectors, in the latter years of the rebellion, distant and garbled communications came. Reports of knife-like ships and metallic monstrosities that had the cold core of the void in them, sucking the life out of anyone in the same room as them. It was just like the end of the Mantis War. Well, the Lanius are anaerobic metallic scavengers from the deep void. They go into hibernation for centuries, only awakening if they sense a significant amount of metal or scrap. And when they do, they awaken like a grizzly bear with 4 cubs to feed. That is to say, they violently descend on whatever poor system they happen to awaken in, and they have no problems absorbing ships with people still inside of them. That also includes stations, or really anything else. The bad part is they drift in large fleets too, so where there's one, there's likely many, many more nearby. And they mostly only work with each other. So, if they get a help signal out, well, you're not going to be living on a station for much longer. You will be ejected into the void, as 4 Lanius ignore your pleas for surrender, and absorb your room. Yeah, their large fleets can wipe out an entire sector's worth of metal supply in just a few cycles. And because of all this, they're considered harbingers of doom. Especially considering that common awakenings happen after or near the end of very large wars, when scrap flows freely through space from destroyed ships. Well, as a species, their unique speech is really hard to understand, making translation errors the norm, although they will actually open up, and they are somewhat friendly to those that can actually talk to them. And the Federation has been making efforts in discerning their speech and trying to integrate them into the Federation. Personally, I really like the more feral approach, where they awaken, wipe out a sector, and mostly just ignore other species in a more cold, calculating sort of way. Well, in any case, let's talk about their stats. Being made mostly of metal, they're slow, with an 85% movement speed. And having adapted to the void, they do not need to breathe oxygen. They can, in fact, survive in the void of space, unharmed. They suck the oxygen from whatever room they're in, as a hull breach would. Yikes. Well, I suppose not having to worry about environmental systems being upkept during hibernation is a worthy trade-off. In case you couldn't tell by this really long opening, I really like the Lanius. They have more lore than any other species in FTL, and they were put in the Advanced Edition. Now, Tom Jupert is really cool. He's the main writer for FTL story, but wowzer. Chris Avalon coming in is probably what caused the Lanius to have so much lore. I'm just spitballing here, but considering, he's famed creator of Planescape, TTRPG guy, I can see it. I can feel it. The Lanius are freaking awesome. Alright, let's get on to their ship names. The Kruos. Kruos is Greek for icy cold, or frost. Pretty fitting, considering the Lanius bring the cold void of space with them wherever they go. Now, the more interesting and epic name is Layout B, the Shrike. And the Shrike has a few origins that could be, pinned on it. Although, there's one very obvious choice that's clearly correct, but we'll get to that one last. In the sci-fi novel Hyperion by Dan Simmons, there is a horrific metallic being that is infamous for sudden violent killings before slinking back into the shadows. And it's called the Shrike. Now that's pretty metal. But what's also metal is another potential origin being Mortal Engines, which is a young adult sci-fi novel by Philip Reeve. And actually, I know a little bit about this one. You see, it was adapted into a less than stellar movie. A lot of money was spent and it did not make a lot of money back. Well, in any case, my friend happened to watch this movie, and I remember him a while ago just showing me like a supercut of what was the best character by far, Shrike. A cyborg that's nearly indestructible, with Freddy Krueger-esque claws. He's generally pretty badass, and he's really cool, and definitely I got a ton of enjoyment just out of watching the scenes he was in. However, this is FTL, and if we know anything about the creators of FTL, they have a certain fixation, a certain obsession with a certain species. That being birds. Shrikes are passerine birds of the family Lanidae. They consist of 34 species, and the largest of these species are called the Lanius. Well, there we go. You see, Lanius is derived from a Latin word known as butcher. You see, shrikes also have butcher birds in their family, and if you don't know what they are, oh boy, they're awesome. You see, they impale their prey on sharp plants, most often large spikes or sharp tree branches, and it's metal as all hell. The males mostly do this to attract females, because if there's anything a woman doesn't love, it's a bunch of rotting carcasses on a tree outside your house. I guess women are into that true crime stuff, so I suppose it makes sense. Oh yeah, they're also used as food stores. Oh, in any case, enough of this gay banter. Let us get into the Lanius Cruisers. Layout A. The sharp, knife-like structures make Lanius ships a sight to behold. This cruiser was adapted to support the other races of the Federation. Default name, Cruos. Starting crew, 1 human, 2 Lanius. Starting reactor, 8. Starting systems, Clone Bay 1, Engines 1, Hacking 1. Starting weapons, Chain Burst Laser and an Ion Stunner. Starting augmentation, Emergency Respirators. Starting resources, 3 missiles and 9 drone parts. To unlock this ship, unlock 4 non-kestrel ships. Let's talk about emergency respirators really quick. Your crew takes half damage from low oxygen. This makes Crystal Crew almost as effective as the Lanius in low oxygen environments, and leaves your crew uniquely equipped to deal with auto ships and other Lanius ships during boarding actions, or if Lanius board you. They also allow your crew to actually heal in a level 1 medbay if the oxygen is out. So, do you sell this? It's a 50-50 on whether I sell it. If I want to afford something, I'll sell it, but otherwise I just kind of keep it. So, it's up to you. Use discernment. If you've gotten this far in my series, you should probably know I like to sell most augmentations. You decide for yourself on this one. You've earned it, big guy. Alright. Early sectors. Use hacking in emergency situations for the first 2 sectors. It can be very useful in disabling key systems, preventing you from taking damage from missiles, etc., etc., but use it wisely because drone parts are a little annoying to get, like all of your 3 core resources. I generally save it for later sectors. Because of that, early game you can focus on getting a better weapon, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the chain burst laser because it's very slow. Sure, it can become fast, but if it goes down, it becomes slow again, and I would focus on finding a better laser weapon, or preferably a beam weapon early on, and then focus on finding more types of ion weapons. Because here's the thing, hack is so versatile that later on, you're gonna be so happy you have it. You can shut down any core system you want, and if you happen to get boarding on the ship later, you can lock off the medbay from people running in and kill them while they're trying to break in. Or if they do manage to break in, you can just quickly open the door, shut it again, and then turn it on, and watch as their health very quickly declines and they die a horrific death. Here's an example with the Shrike, because the Shrike is a cool ship, but we'll get to that later. For this ship, you do want to follow the Lanius standard operating procedure. Destroy and loot all ships, and conserve as much resources as possible. You can get a lot of scrap with this ship if you're a crafty and patient predator. Ignore their pleas and cries for surrender. Do it. Be the Lanius you're always born to be. Layout B. The racial ability of the Lanius makes them fearsome combatants in small quarters. Combine that with a mind control system, and this ship is a force to be reckoned with. Default name, the Shrike. Starting crew, 1 NG, 2 Lanius. Starting reactor, 8. Starting systems, no sensors. Level 1 weapon system, weakened, requires 40 scrap to upgrade. Clone bay, 1. Engines, 1. Teleporter, 1. Weapons, 1. And mind control, 1. Starting weapon, advanced flak. Starting augmentation, emergency respirators. Starting resources, none, only 16 fuel, standard. To unlock this ship, complete 2 of the 3 Lanius Cruiser achievements. Alright, this ship is pretty awesome. First goal, teleport Lanius aboard the enemy ship. Second, mind control the first crew member you see. If you really like wasting time, you could run the Lanius in and out of the room so that mind-controlled crew member is the first crew member in the first slot. So he will be targeted by the enemy crew, causing them to fight. That's a lot of work, though. Having another body in there just to help out's really nice. But here's the thing. You gotta be careful, because it's annoying to heal your crew with this ship. Clone Bay is both a blessing and a curse, because you cannot oxygen clone cycle with Lanius, because you can't starve them of oxygen and watch them die so they can just be cloned back to full health. It's really unlucky. So, that's where your advanced flak comes in. You can alternate between boarding and advanced flak if you want, because it is a fantastic weapon. But, I generally just suicide bomb over and over again my Lanius into the enemy crew. Speaking of that, advanced flak. Oh goodness, it is fantastic for taking down Zoltan shields and for finishing off auto scouts. You see, your ship's uniquely equipped actually to deal with auto scouts, kind of like the Crystalline B. Teleport the Lanius aboard the automated ship, have it take down the weapons and the shield, or whatever you want really, and then blow it up with the advanced flak. Easy as pie. So with this ship, it's very easy to build it any way you want, which is great, especially considering it comes with a teleporter. So, you could build up your teleporter crew and teleporter level to just become an insane boarding ship. You start with some decent ones. Lanius are pretty decent for boarding. They're hard to work with pairings, but you can have them like in the oxygen room destroying it or something. Enemy crew will go in and fight them, and then when they go out, to have 2 Mantis waiting for them. Pretty cool. And this helps with mind control. Even at level 1, it's good to get an extra ally. Can really help in between teleportation delays, or just to cause general chaos. Much like the Slug's Areola Max. Chaos is good. Or, 40 scrap isn't a huge ask by Sector 2 for an upgraded weapon system. Then it just goes to 25 and then a normal cost for upgrading it. And the advanced flak is such a good weapon with only 1 power required for 3 flak pieces. You can build up this ship to be fearsome on the weapons side, just due to this amazing start. Now here's the one problem though. You can only have 1 extra installed system on this ship, just due to all the insane systems it has already installed. Hacking's a really good idea to get just because hacking's pretty amazing. Cloaking's pretty good too. It's what the run demands, what you're feeling, what you find. I actually got to the Rebel ship just while casually playing this ship for B-roll, and I was doing like a caveman run, where my brain was just kind of shut off. I was talking to people, and I just kept making mistakes over and over again, and I somehow got to the second phase of the Rebel flagship. So, you really, it's hard to go wrong with this ship. It's really, really good. Ranking time, and we're gonna begin with the Cruos. Woo, Lanius A! Now, it starts with 2 Lanius, 1 human. Not a bad startup by any means. Lanius, they're situationally useful. Generally, they're pretty cool. It has a clone bay, which I don't think I would ever trade in a clone bay for a med bay, or a med bay for a clone bay. It's more useful than not, I suppose. It's not a knock against it, I can say that. Its weapons, the chain burst laser kind of stinks, but you can upgrade that fairly easily. And the ion stunner is not bad at all. It's a pretty good weapon, all things considered, though it is a bit slow. Emergency respirators is okay. I often forget that I have it, so its buff isn't fully utilized to its full potential. Generally, I find at least, but it's passive, whatever. I guess they all are passive. Don't worry about that. The big thing that puts the Cruos on the higher tiers of the tier list is the fact it starts with hacking. Because hacking is a fantastic augmentation. I mean, look at S tier. 2 ships in that, the Areolamax and the Tetragon, both have hacking as starting systems, and it benefits them greatly. Same thing for Linus A. Goodness gracious, it is nice to have hacking. It's so versatile. In late game, it's your shield cracker. Or weapon disabler, depending on your weapons. It adapts to your playstyle. It is so nice. With that, I'm going to put it at the top of A. I think that's where it deserves. It's certainly better than anything in A by a long shot. But I don't think it's quite edging into S tier, and there's a reason for that. Nah, a bit of spoiler there. But now we get to talk about the Shrike. Oh boy, the Shrike is fantastic. Clone Bay, we discussed that last time. It has a weakened weapon system. That's only 40 scrap to fix. That's not bad at all. Because the weapon, it starts with advanced flak. It's just normal flak, but better in every way. 1 power. That is insane. And it can pair with any weapon you get. It is fantastic. Besides that, personally, I love mind control. I love creating a bit of chaos. And I'm looking at the ship list right now, and it's occurred to me, I think only 1 other ship starts with it. That's just going right off the top of my head. But the Areolamax is the only one I can think that starts with it. Yeah, I think it is. In either case, it is really fun to have, and pair that with teleportation, well, you have a recipe for a fun time. And Lanius boarding is super unique. It's not the most efficient to drain the oxygen out, and oh goodness, well, I've done it before. Actually, like, oxygen depriving the crew as the method of killing takes far too long for my brain attention span. I don't know, I just feel kind of useless sitting there waiting for my Lanius to be done. That makes a run way too long. It's gotta be quick, it's gotta be snappy. So with that, though, with that, this ship is really good. And the playthrough I did while recording the B-roll for this, like I mentioned, literally is a testament to that. I was talking to people, I was a little out of it, and I just kept making wrong decision after wrong decision. I accidentally upgraded like a bunch of different systems I didn't need without even thinking about it, and then immediately after regretted every single one. I was like, why did I do that? But I still got to the final fight with it, no problem. With maxed out shields and almost maxed out everything. It was really good. And with that, I kept the same strategies that the ship encourages the entire time. I still had a good boarding crew, and I also had a fantastic array of weapons. And this is the ship too. I will just tell you, this is my favorite ship in the entire game. This is the ship I always gravitate towards playing. It looks freaking awesome. Its playstyle is exactly what I want. And so with that, goodness, it's stuck. With that, top of S tier. Nice and easy. So, that's it. We're all done talking about all the ships in the species now. Wow. This video series did better than I expected it to. It's pretty fantastic. I suppose FTL is fantastic, eh? So, what comes next? Well, I'm gonna make a finale video, a FTL finale. And if you have any ideas for anything you want me to talk about in it, please let me know down below. I'm going to be revisiting the tier list, and I'm going to be making a new one, I think. And I'm going to give my final thoughts about the game, since I've just played through it for literally hours and hours and hours again while making all these videos. Man, it's been a nostalgia trip. But yeah, any ideas, put them down below. Or if you have any ideas for like the Discord to get together and do stuff, you can join that below and talk to me there more regularly. It's a little inactive, but that's okay. In any case, though, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!